In a world riddled with lies, where truth is nothing but smoke and mirrors, there's only one way to get real news. Welcome to Conspiracy Corner.
And welcome.
Episode 1 of Conspiracy Corner. I am your co-conspirator, Joshua Bradford. Joined tonight with the opposition of critical thinking.
The antagonist of shadows and lies, and the protagonist for facts and truth.
The one and only Patches Bradford.
Old Patches and Yesh.
Almost the name of our show.
Yeah, almost. So, Josh, can we hear a little bit about Conspiracy Corner? Maybe you should just give us a little rundown of what the audience can be expecting on this special little spin-off that we're spotlighting you in.
Yeah. Interesting factoid about this segment. This was actually supposed to be part of the original show.
Yeah.
And we decided that it would be better suited to have its own segment later down the road.
That is true.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached that fork in the road.
That split. I mean, don't worry, Josh is still going to always be part of the rebellion. But,
right, yes. Correct.
But I think this was important enough that it deserved its own spotlight, its own podium, perhaps.
Agreed. So what is Conspiracy Corner, some might ask?
Besides the brainchild of old Yesh Bradford.
Aside from my brainchild. The only heir to my throne. Conspiracy Corner is a bonus segment we will be providing to you based off of your demand, where I will present to you a conspiracy, what some would label as a conspiracy, or what some would label as facts.
Facts!
And then my brother here will be the opposing opinion. And we will argue both sides. And ultimately, it'll be up to the listeners.
You out there.
To decide what is fact and what is fiction.
Where does the truth lie? We're not going to tell you.
We're not.
This is an exercise for all of us.
Because, truthfully, if we could tell you, we'd be making a lot of money.
Or dead.
Or dead.
Yeah. I mean,
probably the latter.
Yeah.
So.
Yet, all these people who have all the answers to conspiracies, they never wind up dead. That's weird.
Well, we'll see.
I'm sure we'll address that in some episode where, it's the government actually keeping them alive so that
so they
it
look
discredits
crazy.
them. Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Alex Jones, we're sorry.
Oh, low blow. So, tonight...
On with it, sir. On with your conspiracy, you conspirator.
Tonight we will be critically thinking through Operation Northwoods. What is Operation Northwoods?
Why are you stealing my line?
Some might ask.
Why are you stealing my line?
Go for it.
I know that you're all excited because you're like the captain of this show, but I still have to have a
You're
role.
my first mate.
Yeah. Trying to make me the swab the deck boy is what you're trying to do. So, Josh, what is Operation Northwoods?
So funny you would ask. Dear brother, Operation Northwoods was a plan put forth in 1962 by the Department of Defense and the Joint Chief of Staffs.
I think it was just the department. I mean, just the Joint Chiefs.
Oh, no, my dear brother. The DOD was involved.
Are they the DOD, though? Is it one entity? I mean, as the military guy, I should know this. But
that's a conspiracy for another day.
Oh, okay. All right.
So Operation Northwoods was one of 33 plans, known as Operation Mongoose, put forth by the DOD and the Joint Chiefs.
Question.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
I know this is a little early.
Yes, it is.
But I remembered you saying something about why it's called Mongoose. I thought that was an interesting fact.
Oh, I'm so glad you listened to the lecture, dear student. Interesting.
You're just gonna run with this power roll.
Interesting that you would bring that up. Why name it Operation Mongoose? Because there were 33 plans. What is the significance of 33? Besides it being a Masonic number.
The perfect Masonic degree.
It's also the number of living mongoose species.
Weird how those correlate.
Yeah, weird conspiracy almost.
Or what the people in science would like to call a coincidence.
Okay. Wow.
Sorry.
Totally. Okay, I'm sorry. So it was one of 33 plans, Operation Mongoose, presented to President John F. Kennedy in order to entice America into war with Cuba, who recently became a communist dictatorship under Fidel Castro.
Currently under, what's his name? Rafael? Fidel, something. Something with the R.
Who knows? I mean, trade's opening up again, so we'll find out soon.
Yeah, we're just going to become communists ourselves.
So, what did Operation Northwoods entail, my brother? Well,
what did it entail, Josh?
It was rather scary, actually. And the documents have been released online, so any of you guys can go fact check this. But it was.
I hope you don't screw this up because I'm your rebuttaler here, and I did go over the document plans today as to what they actually said that they would be willing to do.
Right. So, they wanted to carry out a series of false flag terror attacks, i.e. plane hijackings and or bombings, in order to blame the terrorism on Cuba. That being said, one of the presented ideas proposed was to take a group of CIA operatives, load them on a plane dressed as college students in Miami, have that plane take off, land shortly after at an airstrip, at the same time a drone and an identical plane take off, and then be hijacked and crash, killing everybody on board, but it's only a computer on board. But how are we to know? The government doesn't want us to know. They just want us to think Cuba killed everyone. But we're really not here to debate Operation Northwoods.
What are we here to debate then?
That's a good question, Caleb. I'm glad you're critically thinking.
Because you said we were debating.
I know what I said. But the truth is never what it seems. We're here to debate little segments that shoot off like little roots. Some would say
deep roots.
Operation Northwoods, because President Kennedy declined to participate, was the straw that broke the camel's back. Was what caused the magic bullet that assassinated our dear, dear president. And yet another theory, another root shooting off of the tree of Operation Northwoods, was that all false flag terror attacks since 1962, i.e. the 9/11 attacks, the recent mass shootings that occurred conveniently all in one year, the Boston bombings, were all based off of Operation Northwoods and were used to push a certain agenda or to entice war in the case of 9/11.
So, okay. Let me just see if I am following your train of thought here. You're saying that back in 1962, the government decided it was proposing the idea that it would commence in covert and overt operations to make the general public feel better about going to war with Cuba and capturing it as a strategic point rather than allowing the Soviets to move in and set up base there, who were our arch nemesis and we were currently in the Cold War with, and was a nuclear threat and would immediately have range to drop a nuke on us. That's what you're telling me.
Yes, I am saying that the government wanted to create attacks on its own soil in order to make you and I, or really our parents, feel better about invading a country to stop our enemy from utilizing it.
So,
which personally...
And these attacks weren't manned? Nobody died?
Well, one of the documents said whether it had to be faked or actually implemented.
But the documents never got signed off on.
Right.
So this was never acted upon. It was a complete proposition So basically what you're telling me is that the government brainstormed in a way to defend the overall good for the rest of the population against our number one threat of nuclear warfare, who would have then had the strategic positioning to end millions and millions of lives at the drop of a dime, that they were batting around unconventional ideas to maybe make sure that didn't happen?
No, my brother. You're trying to do the thing that everybody always does to critical thinkers, trying to make me sound crazy.
I'm not trying to make you sound crazy. I'm asking questions.
In all seriousness, they weren't just batting it around. They took it to the president for approval.
Okay.
I mean, that's got to have some weight behind it. This was something that the Department of Defense felt so weighty behind that they took it to the president and said, hey, we could blow up the USS Maine. We could crash a plane full of quote-unquote college students and blame it on Cuba.
Okay.
And JFK said no. But
so here's
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to understand. Just little old me.
I know that face. You're not trying to understand.
So you're telling me that worst case scenario, the government could have potentially killed 10, 15 college kids to save millions by not allowing the Soviets to be able to drop nuclear bombs on the state of Florida or Washington, D.C., which they would have been able to reach from Cuba if they had moved nuclear missiles there.
Mm-hmm. Was there a question behind that, or did you just completely give up on your beliefs that the individual has rights and it's not all about society?
No, I completely believe the individual has rights, but you're
Don't let it hit close to home because it's Florida, Caleb. There are beaches elsewhere.
I completely agree. But my point is that whenever you're running the most powerful country in the world, there will always be times of great danger that you may have to make a muddy decision that may not be the most morally perfect decision, but if you have to sacrifice a few to save millions and there's no option in between, which obviously there was because the plan never got acted on, that's part of being commander-in-chief, I think. Thank God that they didn't have to act upon it and they found another way, but that is a situation I believe any commander-in-chief will have to face.
Okay, and my point is, if they're willing to at least consider that idea back in 1962, who's to say they haven't reconsidered and acted upon that idea since then? But, like we said at the beginning, we'll let the listeners decide this one. So let us know what you guys think.
One last thing. I'm not saying that they haven't. I'm saying that they didn't in that situation, and that I can see morally where it would be necessary. However, Sandy Hook, I think there's some issues there that we might have to dive into at a later episode. But that's when it becomes so important to know exactly the character of the person that we're hiring as commander-in-chief in our country.
Well said.
Thank you. Anyway, back to what you were saying.
So, listeners, let us know what you guys think. Was it just good strategic conversation? Or was it the straw that broke the camel's back that eventually caused the assassination of JFK and led us to other false flag attacks?
9/11. Did the man ever walk on the moon?
Who knows?
We'll find out.
We'll find out on the next Conspiracy Corner.
Conspiracy Corner.